Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Today's podcast, I wanted to talk about some bankruptcies that were recently announced. In the last podcast, I talked about potential layoffs that are going to be coming, and I just wanted to talk about a couple of bankruptcies that I've heard about. It's been announced that Diamond Offshore Drilling is going to go bankrupt, and they were an oil and gas industry company, and they were previously worth over $1 billion in market cap before this whole COVID-19 thing happened. And the reason I'm talking about them is because they announced their bankruptcy, and this has implications to the accounting firm. And Deloitte and Touche was their auditor, and the audit fees weren't that big. It's about $2 million. But that's enough to sustain a partner, at least one partner, and a few staff auditing that company. And it's been announced recently that Hertz, which is a car rental company, might file for bankruptcy as well. And like I said, this is a travel and leisure company, and the travel and leisure and oil and gas industries are going to be heavily impacted by this. And this is why I think there's going to be layoffs in the Big Four accounting firms, because you're going to have more and more people unemployed, more businesses that don't want to pay their debt and rather just go into bankruptcy to get rid of some of their debt. And if they go into bankruptcy, this means they're low on cash, and that they're not going to want to pay the Big Four accounting firms. And don't get me wrong, they're still going to need financial statements and they're going to need some accounting, but that doesn't mean they're going to pay the accounting firms right away. They're probably going to be late to pay them, or they might pay them later down the line, or they might fire them and get a smaller accounting firm. And as we know from recent news, that the Big Four accounting firms don't hold a lot of cash. So if their clients go bankrupt and they don't pay them right away, then they're going to have to lay people off. And Hertz had PwC as their auditor, or they still have them as their auditor. And Hertz is a little bigger audit fee. They pay about $13 million, and that's enough to have a pretty good audit team on there. So those people, they're going to have to be reallocated onto other clients, but their specialty is probably going to be more travel and leisure based, and that's not really needed right now, and it's going to go down. So as we have more bankruptcies and we have more of these companies failing, then without a doubt, these audit fees are going to come down if they're kept at all. People can make partner on these audit fees. That's enough to sustain one partner, and I guarantee you there's people that made partner off these engagements. But if these engagements go away, then that partner has more time on their hands, and they can't really sustain the revenues. So the partner is not going to get fired. People underneath them are going to have their salaries reduced, or they're going to get laid off in order to sustain the partner. And I see this going across the firms in these industries. And I think these are the people that are more likely to get laid off, the people that are on these clients. I'm not saying there's going to be mass layoffs across all industries. I just think in these focused industries, I don't see how the Big Four accounting firms keep all the employees. But I also see there's opportunities here. Like Deloitte just won some work in Maine, helping out with the Health and Human Services contract related to people filing for food stamps. And that was $36 million. So some of this is going to transition over to other work. But I don't think the new government work that the Big Four are going to win is enough to overcome the amount of audit fees that they're going to lose. And they're also going to make some of this up in bankruptcy consulting and consulting businesses on reorganization. But I don't think it's enough to keep all the audit jobs. And that's where it's like, if you're going into audit, you need to make sure you go into the right cities and the right clients. And I've mentioned those before, and I'll continue to go through them. But right now, I would be careful if you're in a city that focuses on oil and gas or travel and leisure. So I'll make sure to keep you up to date on bankruptcies of companies and the companies that audit them, so that you can have a little bit of insight into the Big Four accounting firms that this impacts, and also the cities that this impacts. So to stay up to date on all this news, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Big Four Accounting Firms. Thanks for listening.